Welcome to this channel. Mau belajar bahasa Indonesia atau bahasa Inggris dengan cara yang seru, santai, dan mudah dipahami? You're in the right place. Belajar kosakata dan ekspresi sehari-hari. Learn daily vocabulary and expressions. Dengarkan contoh situasi nyata. Listen to real-life examples. Subscribe sekarang dan nyalakan notifikasi. Let's learn together and have fun.
Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we really try to cut through all that noise online and get right to the heart of what matters in the sources you share. We want to give you those aha moments, that deeper understanding without all the usual struggle. So today we're taking a really fascinating deep dive into a language lesson from the Motecker channel. And it focuses on something incredibly relatable dealing with traffic, Indonesian style, that feeling of being stuck.
Yeah. And our mission here, it's kind of twofold, really. We're not just breaking down the language lesson itself. We definitely want to help you grasp the key vocabulary, the grammar, yes, but also uncover some really practical insights into Indonesian communication, those little nuances.
Like cultural shortcut?
Exactly, a cultural shortcut. So if you're learning Indonesian, this isn't just about, textbook words. It's understanding how everyday stuff, like getting stuck in a jam, actually plays out in real conversation. And what that tells you about the culture. We want the language to feel alive.
Absolutely. And well, speaking of alive, let's jump right into the core situation from the source. It sets up this scenario, I think we've all been there, being late, really late. So we have this dialogue between Andy and Lisa. And right away, Andy's super late, blaming traffic. And Lisa, well, she is clearly not happy about it. It's just such a common thing. Let's hear how it goes. Andy kicks it off.
Lisa, mohon maaf. Jalanan sangat macet dan semua lampu lalu lintas tempatnya menyala merah lebih lama dari biasanya. Which translates to, Lisa, so sorry, the traffic jam was awful and all the traffic lights seemed to turn red for longer than usual. You know that feeling.
Definitely.
Then Lisa comes back with, Aku tidak percaya diri, Andy. 1 jam terlambat, kamu keterlaluan. In English, I can't believe this, Andy. 1 hour late. You're unbelievable. Pretty direct.
Very direct. Andy tries to explain. Aku telah mengirimkan pesan mengenai keterlambatanku. English. I sent messages about my lateness. But Lisa isn't letting him off. Kamu seharusnya mengirimkan pesan sebelum waktu yang ditentukan, which is, you should have sent the messages before the appointment time. That's a key point, right?
It really is. The timing of the apology matters.
Andy follows up. Karena itu, aku sungguh meminta maaf, itu merupakan kesalahanku. English. That's why I really apologize. It was my mistake.
Taking responsibility.
Acknowledging the fault.
Lisa then says, jika kamu berangkat lebih awal, kamu tidak akan terlambat ke English. If you had left earlier, you would have arrived on time. The classic should have.
The inevitable logic.
And finally, Andy, just wanting to move past it. Sekali lagi maaf, kita berangkat sekarang. English. Sorry once again, shall we go now?
What strikes me immediately about this, even though it's set up for a lesson, it feels very real. It captures that universal frustration of waiting for someone, but like you said, within that specific Indonesian context. Yeah, the directness you pointed out in Lisa's response.
Yeah.
And Andy's repeated apologies.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does this little exchange suggest about maybe social expectations around punctuality or how you handle making a mistake?
That's a really good point. It's almost like a mini guide to navigating that specific situation. And the words they used were key, especially maset. You can't talk about being late in Jakarta without knowing maset. So, okay, let's unpack some of that essential vocabulary.
Yeah.
These are words you really need for daily communication, especially, like we just heard, when things don't go quite as planned.
Right. These are your sort of First aid words for daily hiccups. A few really jump out from that dialogue. We've got minta maaf, that's to apologize, it's a verb, essential.
Absolutely.
Then kesalahan, which means mistake, it's a noun. Andi used that one. And tiba, meaning to arrive, another verb. And of course, lebih awal, meaning earlier, that's an adverb. Something Lisa definitely wished Andi had done.
Right. And then the star, miset, the noun for traffic jam. Almost synonymous with Jakarta sometimes.
Feels like it?
We also heard lampu lalu lintas, that's traffic light.
Yeah.
And lebih lama, meaning longer, the adverb describing those painful red lights. And finally, percaya, to believe, that's a verb, used when Lisa expressed her disbelief.
And what's really powerful here, I think, isn't just listing these words, it's seeing how they form like the basic building blocks for talking about really common stuff, expressing regret, taking responsibility, describing everyday frustrations.
Yeah.
For anyone learning the language, getting these down isn't just about vocab lists, it's about being able to immediately say why you're late, or apologize properly, or understand what went wrong. They're just fundamental.
Totally agree. And to help make these stick, the source gives some really good sample sentences. They put the words right into context, which makes them much easier to, actually remember and use. Okay, so for minta maaf, to apologize, the example is, murid baru itu meminta maaf karena datang terlambat, which means the new student is apologizing for being late. Pretty straightforward. And for kesalahan, mistake. Jangan melakukan kesalahan yang sama dua kali. That's don't repeat the same mistake twice. Good advice generally, I'd say.
Definitely good advice. And for tiba, to arrive, how about this one? Setelah kurang lebih dari 8 jam, di akhirnya tiba di tujuan, or after flying more than 18 hours, he finally arrived at destination. You can almost feel the relief in that.
Yeah, totally. And for lebih awal earlier, something we could all use. Jika kamu ingin melihat matahari terbit, kamu harus bangun lebih awal. That translates to, if you want to watch the sunrise, you have to wake up earlier. A nice motivator.
It is.
And back to our main word, macet, traffic jam. Di jam sibuk, macet merupakan hal yang umum yang terjadi di Jakarta, which means in rush hour, traffic jams are a common thing that happens in Jakarta. Sets the scene perfectly.
It really does paint a picture of daily life there. And then there's percaya, to believe. The example is interesting. Apakah kamu percayakan hantu? Or, do you believe in ghosts? So you see, these sentences aren't just drills. They give you a feel for real Indonesian conversation.
Thinking more about macet, the source mentioned it's the general word for when something is stuck, not just cars.
Yeah.
That's interesting, right? It's more flexible than just traffic jam.
That's a really great observation. You've hit on a key point there. Macet is surprisingly versatile. Like, you could theoretically use it if your printer jams, or maybe a drain is clogged, though there are often more specific words.
Right.
But yeah, in cities, it's almost always about traffic. And you hear it intensified a lot. Phrases like macet parah, a terrible traffic jam.
Parah.
Or macet sekali, like the very worst traffic jam. And that example, setiap hari jalanan di Jakarta selalu macet. Traffic jams on the streets of Jakarta always happen every day. That really drives home how common it is.
Wow, yeah, and kesalahan too. It seems simple, just mistake. But the source says it can also mean wrong or fault. So it carries a bit more weight.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a kesalahan besar, a big mistake.
Huh?
Or like Andi, asking maafkan kesalahanku, forgive my mistake.
Yeah.
I found it helpful that the source linked it to other words, like kekeliruan for error, and kagagalan for failure. It sort of maps out the different ways things can go wrong.
Exactly. Understanding those shades of meaning lets you be much more precise. And then tiba, to arrive. Pretty straightforward translation, but used constantly. It's fundamental for talking about movement, completing a journey. So you get phrases like tiba di tujuan, arrive at a destination, very common. Or tiba dengan selamat, arrive safely. That's a really comforting phrase you hear often.
Oh, nice.
And the example, ibu baru saja tiba dari pasar, mom has just arrived from the market, just shows how it fits into normal, everyday chat. Simple, but you absolutely need it.
Okay, this next part, I think, is where things get really interesting for anyone learning Indonesian. It's the grammar focus. How you say should have versus just should. This is so practical, right? For expressing regrets, giving advice, talking about what might have been. The source breaks it down really clearly into two main phrases. So first up, for things in the past that didn't happen or maybe shouldn't have happened, you use seharusnya. That means should have. The pattern seems pretty simple. Subject plus seharusnya plus verb.
Right.
Let's look at the examples from the source. They make it clear. Dia seharusnya mengirimkan konto produknya, meaning he should have said the sample product. A past obligation missed.
Clear failure there.
Yeah. Or,
Yeah.
Kamu seharusnya mencegah dia melakukan hal itu. That's, you should have stopped him from doing that thing. You can almost hear the tucks get.
Definitely implies a missed opportunity to intervene.
And this one feels very real world. Manager itu seharusnya memberikan insentif lebih untuk bawahannya, which means the manager should have given more incentive for his subordinate.
Yeah.
So seharusnya is definitely about looking back, often with regret or criticism.
Precisely. And building right off that, we have sebaiknya. Now, this also translates as should, but, and this is the key difference it's used when you're giving advice for the future, it's not about regretting the past, it's about suggesting a better course of action now or going forward. The pattern's similar.
Yes.
Subject plus sebaiknya plus verb.
Okay, so seharusnya is past regrets, sebaiknya is future advice.
You got it. Let's look at the examples for sebaiknya to make that distinction really clear. Sebaiknya mempertimbangkan kembali keputusannya. This means he should reconsider his decision. It's a suggestion, right? Offering a path forward.
That makes sense.
Or, kamu sebaiknya mengurangi makan makanan berminyak. That's it. You should eat less greasy food.
Yeah.
Pure advice. Maybe unsolicited sometimes, but still advice.
And one more. Anak itu sebaiknya belajar mengendalikan emosinya, which is, the kid should learn to control his emotion. Again, it's advice for development or improvement.
Okay, that distinction is super helpful. So just to nail it down for you, our listener, think about it like this, using the sources examples again. For should have, looking back at the past, seharusnya, kamu seharusnya mengingatkan dia tentang batas waktunya. You should have reminded him about the deadline. And dia seharusnya mengembalikan buku itu. He should have returned the book. Past actions.
Right. Missed opportunities or obligations.
And then for sure, giving advice for now or the future, sebaiknya. Kamu sebaiknya tidur sekarang. You should go to bed now. Straightforward advice. And dia sebaiknya menambah porsi latihannya. He should add his portion of training.
And you know, when you really get a handle on these structures, seharusnya and sebaiknya, it's not just about getting the grammar right on a test. It actually lets you express much more nuanced thoughts. You can show regret, you can offer criticism carefully, you can give helpful advice. It moves you beyond just basic statements. You can really start to articulate more complex feelings and ideas, which is Well, it's crucial for real communication, for actually connecting with people.
That's such a great way to put it. It really elevates your ability to interact.
Yeah.
And, thinking about expressing complex ideas brings us right back to Andy and Lisa. Why was Andy late? It wasn't just, oops, I forgot. It was likely because he was wrestling with the beast that is Jakarta traffic.
Exactly.
And the source material gives us some, frankly, mind-boggling context on this. Get this. Jakarta's roads total about 6.87 million kilometers. But the city area is only 661 square kilometers. And back in 2010, so over a decade ago, there were already 8 million vehicles. 8 million. Which works out to a road ratio of just 6.2%. That's like trying to pour a gallon of water into a pint glass every single day.
That's a perfect analogy. And the source points to some, let's say, long-standing reasons for this nightmare. Primarily a real lack of comprehensive urban planning for a long, long time. Jakarta just didn't have a mass rapid transit system for ages.
Right.
So everyone relied on private cars or motorcycles, and the public transport that did exist, commuter trains, buses often suffered from, bad management, making them unreliable. It created this perfect storm for gridlock.
And they did try things, right? The source mentions the 3-in-1 rule on main roads. Sudirman Thamrin. You needed 3 people in the car.
During peak hours.
But apparently, it didn't really make a big dent in the number of vehicles. People got creative, I guess. It didn't solve the core issue.
No, it was more of a band-aid and not a very effective one. But importantly, the source also highlights some really positive steps forward more recently. The big one was starting construction on the mass rapid transportation, the MRT, back in 2013. That was under Joko Widodo when he was mayor. A huge, huge undertaking.
Game changer, potentially.
Potentially, yes. And also making real efforts to keep the special Transjakarta bus lanes clear only for the buses. The idea is to make public transport faster and more appealing than sitting in traffic in your own car.
Right, making it the logical choice.
Exactly. So while we learn the word massa and how to say sorry for being stuck in it, understanding the sheer scale of the problem in a city like Jakarta and the historical reasons behind it gives you such vital cultural context. It makes Ani's excuse less of an excuse and more, a statement of reality for millions. It helps you understand the why behind the word.
That really ties it all together perfectly. So for you, our listener, this deep dive, we hope, wasn't just about picking up some Indonesian words. Our goal was really to equip you with phrases you can actually use. Help you grasp those grammar points like seharusnya and sebaiknya for real situations, and crucially, give you that cultural backdrop, especially about something as defining as Jakarta's traffic.
Yeah, it's about making that connection.
Turning information into something practical, something you can really use.
Absolutely, because this whole session just underscores how language and culture are, completely intertwined. A single word like maset isn't just vocabulary, it's a key that unlocks a whole world of urban challenges, daily routines, even social dynamics. Language really does reflect the world it describes.
So we'll leave you with this thought to chew on. How might really understanding the nuances, like the difference between should have and should, seharusnya and sebaiknya, and the reasons people use them, like dealing with massive traffic jams, how might that deeper understanding change how you approach communication, how you solve problems, not just if you're learning Indonesian, but really in any language, any culture you encounter? Something to think about. Thanks for deep diving with us today.
Thank you for watching this video. Hopefully useful. Don't forget to like and subscribe.